Once again, class is in session. It is an honor, a privilege, and I'm ready for some tutelage and to sit here as a student because in the company of a fellow filmmaker and documentarian, as well as an activist, a very outspoken leader in the community, Mr. Tariq Nasheed. Greetings, my brother.
Man, my pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
Good to see you, man.
Man, it's my pleasure to work with you, brother.
I'm ready to dig in, man. I know
Yes.
you always got a lot to say,
Yes.
and you back up everything that you do say with great passion and truth. So I really, man, even before we jump all the way in, I just want to let the audience know, because usually we align things with text and framing questions and stuff, but just for some people that may not know your background, even as a filmmaker and author and so many other things, how did it all come about? And coming from Birmingham and Detroit, but then even more important, like something as powerful as Hidden Colors.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? Where'd you come up with the idea like, I want to make a series of documentaries about our people?
Yeah, that goes back to the books.
Right.
We got to go back to the beginning. I started writing relationship books in the late 90s, early 2000s. I wrote a book called The Art of Mackin'.
I remember that.
Yes,
yeah.
And that book became a huge, big-selling book.
Yeah.
Just talking about dating, and at the time, you had a lot of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, those type of corny books that were out. I'm like, this is corny. Dudes don't spit like this.
Yeah.
So I said, let me write a book of game that talks about how dudes really talk and how they spit at the club.
Right.
So I put this book out. It blew up. So I started getting all these other book deals to do relationship books.
Right.
And I kept noticing that the correlation between relationships and race kept popping up.
Right.
Because when you're dating and you're getting with people and getting in relationships and getting into sexual situations, race comes up.
Right.
Because race and sexuality is a major factor. And a lot of people were asking me racialized questions, and I wanted to answer them, but not in book form.
Right.
I wanted to talk about race and relationships, and this is where the Hidden Colors thing came in. I said, okay, I need to really talk real about race. If I'm talking real about relationships, let me do the same thing for racism.
Right.
And that's where the Hidden Colors thing came in. I made it so that we can have a real conversation about Black empowerment and the problem with systematic white supremacy. Because when we talk about racism without talking about white supremacy, you're not talking about anything. And a lot of Black people are afraid to talk about white supremacy, especially if you have connections where you are working within the dominant society.
Right.
Meaning, if you are clicked in, which I was at the time. When I was doing my relationship books, I had book deals with Simon & Schuster, Penguin. I was doing a lot of television shows for MTV and VH1. They were giving me money for pilots because they wanted me to stick to the relationship stuff.
Right.
Whenever you start talking about race, that's going to make white people uncomfortable. So a lot of Black people are like, hey, all lives matter. You get to buck in your goddamn eyes. The eyes start bucking.
Right.
You dig? So I'm not bucking my eyes.
Right.
So I wanted to talk about this thing and talk about it real. And I said, okay, I'm not going to get no money from the dominant society to put nothing like this together.
Right.
So crowdfunding was the new thing.
Right.
This was 2010. This was Kickstarter, just got started. So I put up a Kickstarter. I said, look, if we raise X amount of dollars to do this film I want to do, at first the film was going to be called Secret Niggas.
That's hilarious.
I was gonna make it real controversial. It was gonna be called Secret Niggas, and I said, "Wait a minute, let me make it commercial. Let me clean it up just in case they want to show it at
That's
church."
funny. It's like how it's still called that.
Yeah, it's Hidden Colors. I changed it to Hidden Colors, so it would be more
great.
commercially viable, and they could show it at schools. I said
Right.
they ain't gonna show Secret Niggas in first grade.
That's hilarious.
So that's how it came about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Secret niggas. That's great. You hit on something that's really poignant though, and I've always talked about this and on many different times. White discomfort.
Yeah.
It's a thing. For us, I think maybe it's in our nature. We're a pleasant people. Mm-hmm. We wanna please. So we've allowed things to be swept under the rug, and there's this idea when it comes to racism that if you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then when we do talk about it, then we point the fingers at each other opposed to the true culprits. How did we get there? I mean, because clearly we have an outrage. We're easy. You see the confrontation in the conversation when we'll get mad at each other for going to Popeyes and acting like niggas and and social media. We'll cancel each other immediately. We have no problem canceling one another, but when it comes to calling the white supremacy and as you call it, the dominant society to the table, we're very quiet.
Exactly. That's fear. See, a lot of us, we take that fear out on each other because you're afraid to do it to the dominant society. See, a lot of people who are fearful of challenging systematic white supremacy, they'll take their anger out on me or like Nick. Like, Nick Cannon got all that money. How come you ain't buying a community center with all that money you got, Nick? All that money you got. They always talk about how much money somebody got.
Right.
But you ain't saying that about the Asian person who just sold you $1 billion worth of weed and they ain't gave you nothing back. You didn't say that about the Arab dude who's running the gas station talking to you through a glass window, who's not giving you nothing.
Right.
So all that anger comes at us because we've been programmed to think like that. We've been programmed to sabotage each other because that goes back to the plantation mentality.
Right.
Understand, a lot of the jealousy that we see, it's really about abandonment. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
On a plantation, when you were friends or you were relatives, you had relatives, and they were about to be sold off, that's a heartbreaking thing, having your family or your friend taken from you.
Right.
So we got into the habit of downplaying our relatives by saying, hey, don't take him, he's stupid. Don't take him, he's a nobody. Let him stay here with me on the bottom. Don't take him off away from me. That's where that comes from. Because understand, when black people, when you're doing dumb shit, notice you got a whole bunch of people that's down to do dumb shit with you.
Right.
And when you want to do gutter stuff, or if you want to go trick your money off on something stupid, you can find a carload of niggas to go with you.
Right.
If you say, hey, I want to start a business, all of a sudden, nigga, what you talking about, a business? All of a sudden, everybody telling you can't do it.
Facts.
The minute you start talking about something productive, people are trying to talk you down. That's the plantation mentality because it's abandonment. I want you here with me. I don't want you to leave me. I don't want you to become successful and leave me here in the gutter. So we got to get that mentality out of our brains. Because other groups, they look for somebody to give them some game to raise them up.
Right.
Everybody does.
That's what community is.
That's what a community is. So we got to get into that habit of looking for some game from somebody. I make it a habit to find somebody who's doing better than me and learn everything I can from them.
Right.
The last thing I'm going to do is hate on somebody who's doing better than me. That's how we learn. But in our community, we see somebody doing better, and then we have to project nefarious reasoning onto him. Well, he got that because he must have sold crack.
Yeah.
He got that because he up there kissing them white folks' ass. You know, we play that little goofy game.
He in the Velvet Mafia.
Yeah. That's ain't no other Illuminati right there. He pledged Illuminati. You know, we got to get off that.
Yeah.
And respect money, respect success, and attain that and learn game from other people.
Now, you bring up an interesting point when you talk about, being programmed.
Yes.
But I want to talk narratives for a minute. And even as of recently, you kind of created some controversy and some people were upset with you. A lot of people agree with you. A lot of people didn't recently about the Harriet Tubman film.
Yes.
And I've often stated long ago, and I did some spoken word pieces and stuff and caught some flack for it about how I don't ever want to see another fucking slave movie again. And I saw both sides of it. I see the importance of sharing our narrative of Harriet Tubman. But even within this construct of what we call Hollywood and who kind of ultimately writes the checks and kind of controls the storytelling, there have been some things that have been left out, fabricated, that I believe you had an issue with. Absolutely. But then that goes back to us controlling our own narratives.
When I see a slave movie, I only want to see us whooping ass. That's when I see. That's what I want to see in a slave movie.
Facts.
I did a movie called
But-
18. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, Django.
Yeah,
He
it was
was-
fictional.
Yeah,
it was
he was
fictional.
whooping ass, but then a lot of people had issues with that. And shouts out to my man Sam Jackson.
Yeah,
But
they had a coon in there, and also with Django, the Django character kept getting permission from the white person in order to get revenge. So
Right,
we got to
right.
look at the dynamic with that.
right,
I did a movie called 1804 about the history of Haiti.
right, yeah,
That's the only revolution where
Haitian revolution.
slaves rose up and overthrew the government. That's
Common
the,
win.
Yeah, the only time that happened in history. Sac passe to my
Yeah.
Haitian cats.
Now
That's
roulette.
yeah, beautiful history. In my movie, I had them whipping all types of ass.
and it's factual.
Yeah, it was fact.
That
It's all
happened.
fact. I didn't make up nothing.
Right.
Everything was factual. The real history is there. Now let's go back to the Harriet thing. Remember, whenever we talk about doing slave movies where there's victories with us, they have to sabotage it, like our brother Nate Parker.
Right.
When he did Birth of a Nation, they sabotaged that movie.
Yeah.
They were calling it a flop. The movie made its money back.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were going out of their way to disparage him.
Attacked him.
Yeah. Because he did it on his own.
Right.
And how dare you, Negro?
Yeah.
So with this Harriet thing, it was so much disrespect connected to the film. There were some issues that many of us had with the lead actress because of some of the things she said to disparage foundational Black Americans. But aside from that, let's look at the politics of Hollywood. In the movie, they put a lot of stuff in there that was completely fabricated.
Right.
That movie had a fake character. They had a slave catcher who was black, played by my brother Omar Dorsey, good brother. And I had a conversation with him the other day about this thing because he's getting a lot of backlash. This character didn't exist. So the bad villain in this movie was the black guy who never really existed. And the savior ended up being the white slave owner. At the end of the movie, the black slave owner was about to shoot Harriet and she was saved by the white slave master. That's garbage. It's disrespectful. And a lot of people are right for not supporting that movie. That movie flopped. And they're trying to pretend that it didn't flop. And what's interesting, a lot of the media publications, they were blaming me for the flop. They were putting out articles with my name, like, y'all stop listening to Tariq Nasheed, he's stupid, and all this stuff. But the community just wasn't feeling that movie, and they should not have supported that movie.
Right.
So we had a lot of issues.
So
with it.
then because I've seen people say this, and you just touched on, we were talking about how that mentality of knocking someone else's success. Could this be maybe could someone use that or this situation as an example of maybe, Tariq was just a little jealous as a filmmaker, or someone who, he's shooting at, we trying to tell our stories, and then when we hating on our own. Could that be perceived as this?
No, because when we're talking about Harriet Tubman, we're talking about somebody who shares my lineage. I'm a foundational Black American.
Right.
I mean, I'm not an immigrant. I don't come from an immigrant background. So my blood flows through that lineage.
Right.
So we want respect on that.
Right.
I cannot go to Nigeria or to Jamaica and disrespect people's lineage by putting a fake character in there that never existed doing something silly.
Right.
I would get run out of there.
Right.
When I did 1804, I went to Haiti.
Right.
If I put some fictional stuff in there that didn't exist or showed Black people being saved by white people, they would have ran me out of Haiti.
Right.
So I showed the same respect to other people's cultures. They're going to have to show the same respect to foundational Black Americans' cultures.
Right.
That movie was disrespectful. The way they were portraying Harriet, they were putting these fictional narratives in the film. They were having this weird relationship with the slave owner. Even the actress, we just don't like the way they portrayed her. She's bucking her eyes, crying every 5 minutes. That Harriet wasn't doing all that.
Right.
So I wanted Viola Davis to play that role.
Right.
Now, I would love the story of Harriet to be told, but don't disrespect it. I have
Right.
no problem with success. I like Django. Birth of a Nation, I like that. Just putting respect on our history is very important. That's all it is to me.
Right. Now, Malcolm X was a believer in, controlling the media and getting in front of it and controlling our narratives, and often say that if we're not careful, we'll start, praising our oppressor, and actually thinking, we're the enemies, when we're actually the people who are trying to help one another, all the way to where that was a testament of even one of the reasons why he was murdered and assassinated. He spoke it because he was just trying to better our community, but was often attacked and villainized. In this media game, man, we get villainized all the time for being outspoken.
Yeah.
Specifically in this day of social media where now everyone's afraid to speak their mind because of cancel culture. But being on both sides of it, because you've also been one of those people saying we should support this, we shouldn't support this. Where do you find that balance, and what to debate and what to create discourse about, and what to say, yo, we not fucking with that, or nah, we gotta support that?
You made a good point about Malcolm X. There's a show on FX Network, The Godfather of Harlem.
Yeah.
With Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
Brilliant show.
Yeah.
The best show on TV.
Yeah, not getting as much respect and awareness as it should.
This is the best show on television. Spend the extra $5 to get Epic. Epic, send me a check for promoting your ass. But this show is excellent. Why is this show excellent? Because there's an authenticity to it. One of the people who was in Hidden Colors, James Small, who worked with Malcolm X, he's the consultant on this thing.
Dope.
So he makes sure ain't no bullshit gonna be told.
Right.
Y'all ain't gonna start lying. He's told me behind the scenes, they tried to give Malcolm a girlfriend. He's like, cut that bullshit. Cut all that out. We ain't doing that. So he's staying on their bumper, making sure you're going to tell this thing authentically. You can add certain things to move the story along, but the basic core of who these people were, you're going to make sure that it's told correctly. As long as we're doing things that has integrity, that's being told correctly, that shows us in a positive light and not always being saved by someone in the dominant society, I can respect it. The problem is when we look at certain movies, especially these slave movies, the ones that are praised by the dominant society, there's always a white savior. Django, there was a white savior in it. Remember, 12 Years a Slave, they crowbarred a white savior. Remember Brad Pitt's part?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt was the one who got the brother's information to his friend. So he was the savior in the movie.
Right.
All of these movies.
That goes back to that white discomfort that makes them feel better, that gets them into the theater. And we're like, look, there's the good one.
Exactly.
I'm like him.
Exactly. The Harriet movie, they show basically all of the white abolitionists helping Harriet in the movie.
Right.
So the whole narrative is slavery was bad, but all of us weren't bad, and some of those black guys were bad too.
Right.
That's a bullshit narrative that we had to call out.
Yeah. Nah, that's real.
Yeah.
Now, and again, going back to the cancel culture of that, I want to say, would I be wrong to say that the cancel culture was created in the black community?
You know what? A lot of this cancel culture that we see, it's orchestrated by mainstream media. Because they have, in the mainstream media, they have little designated Negroes online and on social media who they tell to attack certain things and so-called cancel them. Just like they did with Kevin Hart. Yeah. They tell them, hey, let's get Kevin in line. So go find an old tweet. He said something years ago, made a joke. And all of you Negro minions go around saying that he's canceled because he's homophobic. That's orchestrated from the top.
Yeah,
you understand?
I called that out immediately.
Yeah, I remember you called that out. I remember that. So... And they don't do that to white people too, because I've called all these white people out on Twitter who make these homophobic jokes, and they don't get canceled.
Oh, and I called them to the table, from the Sarah Silverman to the Chelsea Handlers. I was like, look, you gonna call my man out, you gotta call him out.
And I start pulling up Sarah's old homophobic jokes too. And she unfollowed me. She used to follow me.
Me too. That's my girl though. Shouts out.
Yeah, shout out to her.
Follow me back.
Yeah, she unfollowed. I could have said something about that blackface you did, but
I said something about that too.
Oh, you did? Okay,
I said called her out, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and I hold people accountable. At the end of the day, there's no love lost. I respect comedians. I'm a comedian. But if you do some shit, especially in it, I want it to be match that energy.
Absolutely.
Keep all of that today. If you're gonna cancel this person, you got to cancel this person, and that's just how I feel.
Absolutely. And you're one of the few people that works in mainstream entertainment that will do that. A lot of brothers ain't really courageous enough to do that.
Why do you think that is? Is it going back to, again, that we don't want to make white people uncomfortable?
They don't want to make white people uncomfortable. And with you hustle. You got a hustle mentality. Like, I'm going to go get it.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to wait on nobody to get it.
Right.
And a lot of these cats, they're like, well, shit, I can't get it unless.
Because my agent didn't.
Yeah, my agent.
Hey, my agent's going to get upset.
Yeah, the people at ICM are going to be uncomfortable. You know?
Right.
So they're so, you know, they don't have enough confidence in themselves
Right.
to get it on their own.
Right.
And they think, if I got put on, I better be on my P's and Q's so, you know, they won't cancel me here. So we got to get out that mentality. I had an issue with Terry Crews.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard about that.
Yeah.
And shout out to Terry. No disrespect to Terry.
Good brother.
He is a good brother. And the issue I had with Terry was pandering to some white people, kind of all that toxic masculinity, doing all that toxic masculinity. I said, Terry, and I don't do that, Terry, because they're going to turn on you. And then he tried to front on me. He was like, oh, that's Tariq. See, you hating. That's that toxic masculinity right there. And I said, oh, Terry, chill, brother. And then they turned on him. He did all that stuff, and they turned on him anyway. And I'm like, brother, I study these white people. I know what they're going to do, brother. Don't do that.
Right.
You dig? So sometimes you can try to pull people aside and give them some game, and they'll take it or not, but it is what it is.
What is that concept, though? Because, I mean, obviously, I know Terry pretty well. And knowing a genuine, good-spirited person, but whether it's even Terry to my brother Kanye to so many where ultimately I love the fact that you call them the dominant society or the white supremacists utilize. It's almost like they take our weakness and use it against us.
They do.
Even if we're trying to be genuinely good people, or if we're trying to speak out, it's almost like they'll take it and spin it and then turn us against us. I see that quite a bit.
Absolutely. But the thing is, in the dominant society, they will look at our weaknesses and utilize that weakness, use us as tools, and then break their tools after they're done with us.
Right.
They'll get a person who's willing to sell everybody out, who's black. And they were like, okay, we see this Negro. He's going to be useful. Let's get him, and we'll get him to run around talking about black on black crime and black folks don't need reparations. We'll get him to be our mouthpiece. And after the damage is done, we're going to destroy his career because they understand a tool like that can't be trusted. If he'll sell his own people out, why would I bring him in my house? That's the thing that black folks don't understand.
That's game.
There has never been a retirement plan for coons. Yeah.
Whoa. That's gospel right there. I believe that. Now, so that brings me to this next idea, which I often struggle with. The conscious community. We often I say we just because I feel like I've been someone who attempted to be aware for quite some time, and at this point I take aware to enlightened. But we get all of this information.
Yes.
We get all of this knowledge, and then instead of feeding it into the community, we almost use it as ammunition against each other. And it gets to the name calling of, you know, you shucking and jiving, you cooning, you catering, because we know that we have the information and we find ourselves debating with each other for purposes, what I only can imagine is ego, because it's not building. You know what I mean? It's like we're using concepts, and whether it's we speaking from religion, from the my Moorish brothers and sisters, to the Hebrew Israelites, or to people who, it's even sometimes I see it as like an East Coast West Coast thing. Sometimes the conscious brothers and sisters in the West Coast are beefing with the conscious brothers and sisters in the East Coast and the South, and I'm like, yo, where does this even? And even I've even seen you from the of our people from Caribbean descent, the ADOS community, like they keep coming up with these terms and these classifications, and even the ones with the information, the ones that are enlightened, the ones with the knowledge, are holding debates weekly and battles. It's like hip hop battles with information. I'm like, yo, wait, how we got all this information about unity and being one, and we still allowing it to divide each other?
See, the thing is, when you get information, when you get knowledge, you can do two things with it. You can use it to empower and grow and build, which is what I do. And a lot of times, those of us who use it to empower and build, we get accused of monetizing it like that's a bad thing.
Right.
See, one thing that I tell people, in order to be a conscious person, we got to get this mentality out of our system that we got to take this bullshit vow of poverty.
Right.
If you're conscious, You're not supposed to have no money.
Like Jesus.
Yeah, damn that. Because people kind of complain about how successful my films are. The Hidden Colors films are very successful.
Right.
So they're like, well, why are you making all that money? Because I can, and I'm supposed to, and I don't have a vow of poverty. If I'm going to get some information talking about empowerment, I'm going to empower myself and other people around me.
Right.
No questions about it, no apologies about it. The other reason a lot of people get knowledge is so that they can be comfortable and have something to do in captivity. That's the jail mentality. When you go to jail, cats read a gang of books in jail, and then they start debating back and forth because it kills time.
Right.
So this is why a lot of dudes out here, they have that jail mentality where they'll sit up and debate nonstop about nothing for weeks and months and years because it passes time.
Right.
We're getting out of that mentality because I'm not here just to pass time. We're here to empower. We're here to grow. We're here to build wealth. We're here to get everybody comfortable the way they're supposed to be. We're here to control politics. We're here to control our society. And that's what we should be using this knowledge for.
Right. So, but then, I mean, because I've seen you debate and go back and forth online with individuals and probably been misunderstood, I would say, but
you've seen me roast people.
Yeah,
I've roasted the shit out of people.
Yeah.
I rarely debate. I'll debate with like a Richard Spencer, people like that. Those are the people I debate with. The white supremacists.
So I'm glad that because that's actually what I was leading to.
Okay.
Because and that's why I say maybe misunderstood because I see whether you're making fun of Tank or whoever it is, and then it's like, oh, how are you, brother, that's supposed to be so conscious and for the people, but we often see you, as people may say, on a lower frequency or maybe engaging in a way that doesn't seem like how a king should operate.
Right. I have to remind people, I'm a very conscious person. I'm a very empowered person. I'm a very enlightened person, but I'm petty as fuck. I'm petty as hell.
At least you get to
I'm gonna let you know I'm petty. But you're supposed to be the leader, and I tell people I'm not a leader. I don't tell people I'm the leader. The white media loves calling me the leader. Every time I do the news, I'm the leader of this, the leader of Black Lives Matter. No, I'm not. I'm not nobody's leader. Everything that I've done, people have asked me to do. I've never said, let me audition to be a leader. No. People have come to me and said, we need you to speak on this, we need you to speak on that. And for some reason, I became very influential without me even trying. So I let people know, if you deal with my knowledge and my wisdom and my influence, you're going to have to deal with my petty. Because sometimes if people come at me sideways, I'm going to be a little petty about it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to try to make sure as many of us are empowered as possible. And I stay on code. Even though I make jokes about Tank, and I like Tank, but some of that stuff Tank was talking was some bullshit. That should be called out. I ain't that woke to go along with this. So that had to be called out. But shout out to Tank.
Yeah, no, that's my guy.
Or as we call him, Tanked. That's his new name.
They call him Sugar Tank. And we love him. And you know what? In all seriousness, because I truly feel like I've always been open-minded but there also is this true narrative of the emasculation of the black man.
Absolutely.
And therefore, when you remove the man from, or the male from any species, that species will become extinct. And then there's that debate on the same debate of, the LGBTQIA, of giving people the ability and the freedom to do as they wish and live the lives that they want to live. And we often in the black community find ourselves in this weird juxtaposition of, yes, be free, love who you want to love, do what you want to do, but the purpose of a population that is already endangered is to further that population. It's a tough one.
Absolutely. And we got to understand that, again, I'm working on a movie called Buck Breaking. I'm talking about the buck breaking of black males and black society. That's what they're doing now. And this goes back to the plantation. They've always understood, the white supremacists, if we need to control these people, we have to control them sexually, and we have to break the spirit of the males. During slavery, the white slave owners would rape black men on a regular basis.
Wow.
Especially in places like Louisiana, even in Jamaica. where those slave breaking farms
They
were.
don't play that
They
down
don't,
there.
that's why in Jamaica they're so against that now.
They're super against
They're super
homosexuality.
against it because it was used as a tool during slavery. And even now, we're told that we have to not be more masculine. Black people we have toxic masculinity. I don't see that term being applied to white boys at all. Whenever I hear that toxic masculine, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein, they definitely.
Harvey Weinstein out here living his best damn life right now. He ain't that toxic. He's out here chilling and getting his charges dropped. So they'll talk that game, but the ones going to jail are the black ones.
Right.
And that toxic masculinity stuff is beating on us. We're told that the black community is so homophobic, and they're trying to browbeat us into going along with them coming up with ways to break us sexually. And I tell people all the time, the white LGBT community tries to compare their struggle with the black struggle. There is no comparison. That's a very disrespectful thing to say, because black people have always been targeted by the white LGBT community because they practice the same white supremacy as the dominant society. J. Edgar Hoover was LGBT. Never forget that. That man targeted black society.
Facts.
You understand? So we look at Ed Buck, who they just arrested after bringing out how many bodies in his house. They let that man sit up there and kill all types of black people.
Right.
And they're still talking about they might drop his charges. See, this is the stuff that we have to go through with those in the dominant society. So people don't put their sexuality first. They put their race first.
Wow.
So we got to understand that.
That's a heavy statement right there.
Yeah.
And you stand by it, but so
I stand by it 100%.
Often people would say, Tariq Nasheed is homophobic because of this. What would you say to that?
Well, they haven't defined what homophobic is. See, they throw these little terms out here to basically make comparative terms to racism. So they can't say that we're racist. So what they do, they'll say, well, black people are just homophobic because that's comparative bigotry.
Right.
So that's just a shaming tactic that they try to use on us. And it doesn't bother me because I know I'm not. But when people say that, usually these are people who are practicing white supremacy. So we are used to them calling us different types of names and trying to mislabel us. So whenever they say that we're homophobic or I'm homophobic, that's just white supremacy at play. And even if they get one of their Negro minions to do it, because usually it's one of these Negroes who work for these white corporations running around talking that's just another tool of white supremacy.
But what about if it's in a situation they hear us here laughing and making fun of Tank because, at the end of the day, he's our guy, but they don't. But if you see if there's a young, person from the LGBTQIA community that's watching this and they feel offended, or they say, wow, they just said that, because of who I am, there's an emasculation of the men in my community.
Good question.
How does one like that who is living that lifestyle deal with these conversations?
If a gay guy who's openly gay and said, hey, I just had oral sex with 2 guys, okay, we don't have a problem with it. The problem with Tank is he's saying he's straight and he's telling us having oral sex with dudes means you're still straight. So the joke is he's saying something that's completely illogical. That's the joke with Tank. It has nothing to do with homophobia.
Right.
He's saying something that is completely illogical.
Right.
And it's like, are you trying to come out? What are you trying to do? Because you're trying to come out, we can respect that. But what's funny is somebody saying something that's a homosexual act and then trying to pretend it's not. That's the joke.
But again, even in this conversation, it can make a lot uncomfortable, and specifically people from the LGBTQIA community.
They wouldn't be uncomfortable if they're white in the white LGBT community, because black people have no power over them to do anything or to dictate the political structure in their community.
Right.
Black people, if you're black, straight, gay, if you're a black person who's straight or gay, we're in the same boat.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of black brothers and sisters who are gay who think that they're part of the LGBT community, and you're not. I want y'all to really understand that. A lot of black people think if I claim LGBT and claim to be a part of that community, I'm somehow different from other black people.
Wow.
You're going to face the same anti-black racism from the white gay community that we get in the straight community.
So are you saying that black people can't be a part of that community?
They don't allow you to be a part of that community. they don't. You face the same discrimination. You can't get in the clubs. You don't. They don't share the wealth with you. You have all these LGBT organizations that are white run. They don't let that money trickle down to the black gay people. They exploit them. They'll get a black gay person and say, "Hey, look, this guy is a trans black person and he got beat up. Send me $1 million," and they'll get their money and don't give this brother nothing. So it's the old Sally Struthers hustle. They'll get an African child and say, "Hey, this little boy has an eat. You can feed him for 2 cents a month. Send me $1 billion," and that little boy is still sitting out there in the desert of Africa with nothing. Right. So that's a whole hustle they've been running on us for a long time. And I don't like to see our gay brothers and sisters get exploited because, again, we saw what happened with the Ed Buck situation. The white LGBT community didn't do a damn thing about Ed Buck. So I don't want to hear nothing from the white LGBT community talking about homophobia, nothing towards black society because y'all didn't do anything about that racist ass Ed Buck. They didn't do anything about Jeffrey Dahmer either. He was another LGBT person too.
He was eating people.
He was eating
freezing them, saving them for later.
Exactly. So they don't say nothing about that.
But okay, because, and I'm trying to see both sides of the discussion. A lot of times, and even when it was with Kevin, and he and I had this conversation when I was defending him, it goes to the space, especially today, when it comes to the naturing of bullying and even young people actually taking their own lives because they feel uncomfortable, they feel attacked, they feel out of place. And people with, microphones and control and platforms that start to partake in these narratives of, not allowing people to be classified how they wish to be classified, then creates that they don't have a space to exist.
What I don't like is when they put that on black people. There's a bald-faced lie that the white media likes to put out that black people are somehow hyper homophobic, that we are inherently homophobic.
Shoot, we the most accepting if there's
Exactly.
You haven't been to one of our churches?
Yeah, we've always,
it's lit
all day. We've always been accepted of people in the gay who's black. We've always done that. In the white society, they have whole groups that are against gay marriage and gay pride, and they have whole politicians who be voting against gay marriage and all of this stuff. So we don't do that. So I don't like that false label that they put on black people.
But again, at the same time, a kid can say that, because of hip hop, we've used terminology that is quite offensive, from the jokes that we make to even the bigger ideas and, like you said, the conscious community where we're trying to stand so firm in the black family and the man being a man and the woman being a woman.
Nick, have you seen some of your rap peers today? Have you seen little fucking Uzi Vert? Brother, you got rappers out here with thongs, dresses, diapers, lipstick.
Little Uzi was in a thong.
I know. They be wearing little sundresses and flip-flops on stage. Shit. They're very accepting of the lifestyle in hip-hop today. Let's be real. Young Thug, all these dudes.
But it took a minute to get there. And is that a good thing?
Yeah, be your best. Knock yourself out. Be your best. So we ain't tripping on them. So I don't want to hear about hip hop being homophobic and a nigga spitting bars in some flip flops.
Yeah. Now I would say at the end of the day, and I believe this, black people are the most loving and accepting people on the planet.
We are.
It's been shown in our culture. It's been shown in our existence that we will forgive anyone.
Yes, we will.
We were true believers. As come as you are. Mama gonna love you regardless. Other societies, other communities, I can say that they stand firm to not accept ulterior lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like you said, it's been programmed, and is that we need to be scared that if we do share a different opinion or if we vocalize something, that we don't want to get canceled for challenging a community. Because even like there's even this idea that they say gay people run Hollywood, or the a lot of the elite are of the LGBTQIA community, and therefore we can never say anything bad about them. Or the same thing about Jewish people. Though you better than that. You don't want to say anything that might even be perceived as anti-Semitic.
And what that is, that's basically them hiding white supremacy, anti-black racism, because what they do, they'll prioritize all of these other phobias over the blatant anti-black racism that we experience all the time. All these white people are not getting canceled. When they do something racist as hell, the mainstream media and all these people, they ain't canceling them. As a matter of fact, they shift them around. There's a saying that our brother Neely Fuller says, white supremacists don't get fired, they get transferred. So when they do something slick to a black person, all they do, they'll shuffle them off to another job somewhere. Dog the Bounty Hunter still has a damn television show.
He was saying nigga like Hulk Hogan still wrestling, ain't with his
Hulk
old ass.
Hogan, they still trying to get him in the mix.
He calling people all kind of niggas.
Dog the Bounty Hunter didn't just say nigga, nigga, nigga. He killed a black man in the 1970s.
Wow.
Him and some of his racist buddies, they did a racial killing in 1977 down there in Texas.
Is this factual?
It's a fact. Look it up. They killed. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you because they tell you he went to jail. They don't tell you what his ass went to jail for.
Wow.
He killed a black man down there in Texas. Look that up.
Wow.
And this dude is on TV. We heard the tape of him saying nigga, 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 nigga.
Yeah.
But they act like he's America's dad. They didn't cancel him. I don't want to hear nobody telling a black person they should be canceled for anything we say, as long as they protect these damn white supremacists running around, giving them television shows, giving them record deals and book deals. I don't like Justin Bieber. I don't know if that's your boy.
Nah, he said all kind of be one less lonely nigga is what he said with the hard R.
Exactly.
He was singing it. Yeah, that was his hit.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he hit that with the hard
R. And then hit you with the
and did another one.
The chainsaw.
Yeah.
It's like what do you say? What's a racist chainsaw?
Yeah, nigga.
Nigga.
Oh my God.
It's funny, but it's fucked up.
Exactly.
Justin.
Yeah, I don't rock with Justin at all. When I hear
we gave him is that because he gave his life to Jesus?
I don't give a damn who he gave his life to. So I don't rock with no damn.
No,
Justin
we didn't
Bieber.
call Justin to the table today. And I've known Justin before he was famous, man. I actually could say I believe that young man has a good heart, but I think again being influenced by things and not having there's just what you said, not being held accountable.
Absolutely.
Not ever having to operate with consequences is true white privilege.
And they protected him. Let's be very clear. The white media, they've all protected him. There's a lot of these white actors out here who's running around said nigga. Paris Hilton, there's an old video of her saying it. You understand? I can go all into all of them, but we're going to cancel. Everybody's going to get canceled.
Cancel all the white people.
Yeah, so let's not play this game. If Kevin Hart makes a joke from 10 years ago, now they're trying to do this with Eddie Murphy now. They're trying to get his old comedy.
I saw that.
That's bullshit,
nah,
dude.
Eddie, he can't fold on that. Delirious and Raw. Keep being the nigga that you always been. Eddie don't need to change. He got all the money in the world.
Exactly. So they're already setting it up because when he's making this big comeback now, because he's going to get back on the stand-up thing, which is great. So they're already setting it up to throw shots at him now because of his old material. Yeah. So if they're going to do that,
I think he's going to go hard though. I got faith in him because I mean we watched Chappelle get out there and go crazy.
Oh, Chappelle is killing the game.
And so I only would think that his mentor would do the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I mean we touching on some real heavy stuff, man. And I mean and I've learned a lot, even specifically from your Hidden Colors films, or as I will now call it, Secret Niggas.
Yeah. Now, have you seen all 5 of them?
I haven't seen the latest. Okay. I want to see 5. Definitely seen. I've seen the first 4 indeed.
Yes.
But there's so many gems in there. There's so much history. There's so much culture, and even the way that you broke it down and the individuals that you had the opportunity to some that are still with us, some that are no longer with us, that are really just talking about the importance and the power of knowing yourself, understanding yourself, and loving yourself. Is that you truly a way for us to elevate and operate, or is it just a lost cause and that's just information that we have to debate with?
What we have to do, black people, the thing that we haven't done is get a code, meaning a way to deal and react with each other like other dominant societies do. When white people come around, they get on code with each other. Even if they don't know each other.
Get on code.
They get on code. No matter where they're from. You can get a white man from England and take him to Australia. They'll get on code with each other once they get around us.
Right.
So they understand to have codes with each other is how they maintain dominance, how
Right.
they maintain their power. We, on the other hand, we get off code with each other, meaning a lot of times we get around each other and we do things to undermine each other.
Right.
We get around each other and start trying to show out in front of white people and try to pander to them, and we don't look out for each other.
Right.
That's not having a code. Code of conduct meaning, are we going to do things that's going to empower?
But why don't we have a code? I mean, when we come from, even think like the Igbo and the different tribal concepts, that's all code.
It is.
That's
But the problem is when they start bringing us to the Western Hemisphere, they learn from Haiti, because when they start bringing people to Haiti, they were bringing over too many people from the same tribes. They were on code. They knew how to communicate with each other, and they start beating the hell out of the French.
Right.
So they start learning from that mistake. So they said, we're going to have to start getting a tribe from here, a tribe from there. They can't communicate with each other. Let's remove these drums. Remember, they took all those drums from some of those islands.
force of communication.
Exactly. Because you can tell somebody, hey, boom, kill that motherfucker at 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they started mixing up all these different tribes, so we couldn't communicate. We didn't have the same codes. We didn't have the same tribal customs, and that was a problem there. And they made sure we didn't get on code. Even in slavery, they made sure that black people, if they made laws, if more than 5 black people got together, a white person had to be there.
Yeah.
When black
It's
people
like the
went,
gang injunctions now.
same thing, same thing. They start making laws where white people had to be in church with black people because they knew that
And they
black
was in
people
there
in
telling
church, they
secrets.
were in their secrets and singing their
Yeah.
secrets, because we were on code.
Yeah.
We were singing them songs.
Swing low, sweet cherry.
Exactly. They were like, wait a minute.
that means
Wait.
somebody coming. And they coming to get us all that down over there by the water.
Exactly. Down in Brazil, brothers had codes. They were pretending to dance, but they were doing capoeira.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they start beating the hell
Whooping
out of
ass
the
with
white
dance moves.
Exactly. All of a sudden, he's dancing and doing the Dougie. Then he done kick your fucking chin off.
Exactly.
So they said, wait a minute. We got to get them off code.
Right.
All of these things were codes, and we've been prompted to not be on code with each other. And one way they get us off code is by getting a black person and saying, I'm going to elevate you. I'm going to give you a lot of money. I'm going to give you a lot of prestige, so you don't be like them, so you stay off code with them. And then they'll dangle
letting
that.
a few in the house.
Exactly. So they dangle that carrot of wealth and riches if you stay off code with the other people. That's why when a lot of black people will go to a white-run entertainment company or any kind of business, we don't really want to click up with each other because we don't want to look like we're getting on code and being perceived as a threat.
Right.
You
But
understand?
okay, so then let's talk Jay-Z for a second. For someone who I believe and I know personally is about his community. He come from it, has no reason to dance and perform with the white folks, even as he said in his music. But there's times where it's like, yo, he's super on code, and then there's sometimes where at least the narrative shows that he may be doing some things that we all don't agree with. I know you had your opinion about him and the sitting next to Mr. Goodell and all of that stuff. I personally, I questioned it, but I questioned the imagery.
Yeah.
I question, and again, that's why I always go more esoteric than actually what's physically in my face. I go to the universal spirituality of it all. It's like, all right, we got it. It does that picture doesn't look good to me.
I didn't like the way it looked, and I've been a big Jay-Z fan. Love Jay-Z. Got a lot of respect for Jay-Z. I've always supported Jay-Z.
Yeah.
But when he did that deal, like many other people, it looked funny style.
Yeah.
And what made it really look funny was he couldn't explain it.
Right.
Because when asked to explain, why are you doing this deal?
Why are you here? Why are you even
here,
sitting
Jay?
next
Why
to
you-
dude? This is a good look for them.
Yeah. And my man started babbling and kind of fumbling around, and that was a bad look there. So it's like, Jay, what's going on, brother? You don't have to do this.
But you never bet against Jay. Like, it's been a lot of times where he makes questionable moves, and we not looking for Jay-Z to be a politician or be an orator like a Barack Obama. But usually his plans pan out, and I'm still hopeful.
I'm not doing
not?
no, I'm not, because we did that with Obama. We said the same thing about Obama.
And again,
Obama's going to be the bomb on the second term.
But-
Obama didn't do shit.
But to Obama's testament, for our children when they see that there was a eloquent, strong black
That
man
ain't
in the
gonna
White
let-
House. That was a good thing.
The optics of that fizzled out when you see a so-called strong black man who can't do anything, a strong so-called black man who's not going to enact any policies that benefit you. Because see, what we see now, we see Trump, which is a result of the inaction of Obama.
Right.
That's what children are seeing now. They're seeing some white supremacy for real popping off.
Right.
And he's not no punk about his.
Right.
He's pandering to his base. That's what,
sure.
yeah, you dig? It ain't
He
no
talking
social.
to his people.
Exactly. So we need to have fearless black people who's not going to get around white folks and start stumbling and
But
fumbling.
when it is when people of that name, those Barack Obama, Jay-Z, those are strong black men. Those are men to look up to.
Define strong. I don't think Obama is strong, and I voted
Whoa.
for him twice. I
Whoa.
voted for Obama twice.
You don't think he's strong?
If you're strong, you're
Come on,
not,
first of all, let's talk. We're
let's-
talking presidency. The
let's get
presidency
down.
is an institution. That's a personality.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm not. I know just based off of how I see it, from Trump to Obama to Bush to Clinton, the hood gonna be the hood regardless of who's in that position. So I wasn't necessarily thinking the world was going to change in a very physical form when Obama was president, but I knew the mindsets and the conditions could change just based off of what I'm viewing.
Obama didn't do anything specifically to help black people.
You can't say he didn't do anything.
I'm talking specifically for black people. Obama sat up and let black
He's doing
people.
stuff now.
Obama ain't doing nothing, brother. Obama sat up and let black people get slaughtered under his watch. He didn't punish none of the race soldiers. In fact, he started signing these blue lives laws to protect more police officers. I can never respect that, brother. If you're going to do something, do it.
I'm not going to argue you. But
You dig? Don't do some trickle down stuff like I gave some money to healthcare and that
Right.
trickled down to some of y'all niggers.
Yeah.
No. You didn't do anything for us. Y'all sat up and let us get slaughtered like that, and that's unforgivable. We don't need that type of thing no more. We don't need no more benign neglect. This is why there's such a movement for foundational black Americans to say, hey, we want an agenda for black people in this next election cycle. And this is why the election, a lot of the politicians are struggling.
what
right
about
now.
a lot of the minority first bills that were passed? So like if you're a minority business owners, got to get
Minority
that was
is a
around.
trick word. That's the biggest con word ever, Nick. We
Right.
should never, ever use the word minority. When Asian people want stuff done, they're very specific about Asian Americans getting set aside and earmark funds. The LGBT community, there's trillions of dollars that's being generated by these corporations to fund some of their endeavors.
Right.
Hispanic, they use the word Hispanic. They earmarked all types of money for Hispanic organizations. When it comes to black people, all of a sudden we get these little codified words like minority, diversity, people of color. Everything gets watered down when it comes to us, and that's that benign neglect policy
Right.
that we have to reject. We have to be very specific about tangibles, not optics, Nick.
Okay.
Tangibles.
Tangibles.
Something that can be quantified and measured.
Land.
I don't want to see Obama and Michelle doing the fucking Cabbage Patch. That ain't tangible.
What about the Dougie?
The Dougie, nothing.
He hit the dab
Singing
one
Al
time.
Green, that ain't tangible. I don't want to see Hillary throwing her pee, whatever dance she's doing or twerking.
Right.
We need tangibles
Nah, that's
for
real.
black people.
Now, when you say tangibles, are you talking reparations? Are you talking land?
Reparations
Yeah.
in the form of cash payments, in the form of land, but preferably cash because
Cash? Wait,
Yes.
nah, see, I'm about to disagree with you.
Yes.
I say land over cash.
I say
Cash ain't worth shit.
Cash. Well, you can buy land with
But
cash.
they give you some crypto. Like,
And
we
they-
know the money. There's only fucking 3% of currency
and they
is,
give you
is
land
physical.
at the goddamn La Brea tar pits, and you sitting up there with dinosaur bones.
But land is yours. Look at what they did with
Dude,
the natives. You don't want no that money is bullshit.
They give you a put you on a desert and no water.
So you want
give me
money.
cash. I will get the land my damn self.
Even though
Give me
money
the
ain't
cash.
worth shit. You know,
money is still worth enough to get
you
land.
know it's centralized banking.
I
And
understand that. I can use
it's
money.
debt. You want
money. I can still spend money. If I got a pile of money right now, I can go buy land.
Okay.
We can still buy land right now.
But imagine if they gave it into they get because what the however many trillions, what is it, 60 trillion or something like that. Break it down, it comes about to what, like $150,000 for every black person on some.
Oh, there's all types of ways to break it down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We can break it down.
And then because then you have the ADOS argument of the descendants of American descendants of slaves,
which is a valid argument because that's what a foundational Black American is.
And that's a lot of reason why they say Obama never really pushed for it because
he's not an American descendant of slaves.
Yeah, he's not a descendant of slaves.
And that's by design. As you notice, a lot of people that get close to the White House, the white politicians and the people who run everything, they make sure that they're not a descendant of American slaves. Colin Powell's not a descendant of American slaves. Eric, what's his name? Eric Holder. He's not a descendant of slave. So they make sure to not get.
Condoleezza Rice is a descendant of a slave. That's a nigga.
Yeah.
She's last name is Rice because that's what her family was.
Hell, that first name Conda damn Lisa. That's it. You dig? So we can get land with cash payments because other groups get cash payments.
But we can make money off of the land. Right. That's all I'm saying. If they designate, because it goes back to the New Republic of Africa when that concept was everywhere from, I think it was like Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia. We wanted all of that to be this is new Africa back in the day. That was that idea and that mindset. And I think we were on the right mindset of like, yo, just give us a section. Give us Atlanta.
If they do
and we gonna turn that motherfucker up.
If they do, they'll do that. They'll give us the worst land. It's not irrigable. You can't do anything.
They always
with it.
give us the worst stuff.
Give me the money when we
can
get the land we want to get. Give me the money.
Yeah. Well, either way, we both agree that we deserve something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people who feel like we don't. And that's a big debate about, going into 2020 is, when you get onto this partisan conversation, it seems very like that a lot of the Democrats are running on let's fight for reparations, but then
but what they're doing there, that's a trick back because they know we have reparations on the table. Right. So what they'll do, they'll start talking about the HR 40 bill, which is a nothing burger. It's nothing. All it does is study reparations, and you can study it indefinitely. So there's nothing tangible in there.
Yeah, it's trickery.
Yeah, it's trick words. We got to get to the nitty gritty. We need tangibles.
But will that ever happen?
It will make it happen.
How?
Because if they want to play that game, we can drag this thing out. We're getting on code, Black Americans.
We're
getting on code because now we're moving the political landscape.
Right.
These politicians are falling by the wayside because we ain't supporting them.
Right.
They need foundational Black Americans supporting these people, and a lot of them are falling out of the race because they're not getting support from us.
Yeah. Now, I feel like what gets even heavier. Speaking of getting on code, and in the times of this administration, has brought out the darkness and the ugliness and so many, but specifically where I feel like the white community is so scared that they're looking for their Messiah.
They already got that in Trump.
And it's a dictator type of mentality where it's very, very reminiscent of whether it's the Nazi times or where, like, we literally the other day saw a white person throw battery acid on someone that they thought was an illegal immigrant. There's so much going on with police brutality. We know that's just the biggest gang in our nation. Modern day slavery is in full effect. Brainwashing, eugenics, everything from getting us hooked on food and drugs. This stuff is going on, and it's out in the open now. It ain't even secret no more. Like I said, conspiracy used to be like, shh, don't tell nobody. Now this shit on the news every day. So at that point, we're speaking of getting on code and rallying up, and whether it's the black and brown coming together or minorities, a term you don't like to use.
Right.
But
by the way, there's never been a black-brown coalition.
But it needs to be. It should be.
But let's be real, because we get into these cliche-isms. There's never been a black-brown coalition.
It should be, though.
It should. There's a lot of stuff that
but there's never been a black coalition at all. We always against us.
There has. Let's go deep. In the 1960s, Black people, we were pretty codified because we understood that we needed to build our communities. When you look at the bus boycotts, that was us being on code. We were very effective because we were on code.
Right.
And we got certain bills passed because we were on code.
Right.
After 1965, they started letting different groups come in because we fought for them to come over. A lot of the so-called minority groups that came over, it was us fighting for them. Black people here said, look, we got our civil rights, so take some of these quotas off of Africans and Hispanics and Caribbeans from coming over here, because they had quotas. So that was a gift and a curse. We wanted more of our brothers and sisters to come over, but what happens, a lot of folks came over who wasn't on code.
Right.
So there was a lot of headbutting at that time, and we don't take that into account. Whenever you let an immigrant class get on top of another established group, there's always going to be some kind of conflict. Remember the movie Gangs of New York?
Yep.
All that's about different immigrant groups coming together, bashing heads until they got on code. It took them a minute to get on code.
Right.
But when you put different people from different ethnic backgrounds, even if they're the same race, and put them on top of each other, there's going to be a battle for resources.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just broke it all the way down.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, getting on code.
Absolutely. It's all about a code. We got to get on damn code. That's all it is.
Hey, man, well, this has been a intellectual and deep and passionate conversation that we probably going to catch a lot of shit
Yes,
for.
we are. Yes.
But we spoke our truth, man, and
man.
I admire and continue to support you, my brother.
Doubt, man. And get Mariah Carey to sign my glitter poster.
That's what she probably sign anything but that one. She always think people making fun of her when they say that they like glitter. I fuck with glitter.
Dude, I didn't mean to turn you on.
That's the one.
That's the shit.
Her
ain't
point
it?
is better. That version is better than the
Sherelle's
Sherelle's version.
I used to bump that shit all the time.
I be trying to tell her.
Yeah.
See, I got you. I'm gonna try to make it happen.
No doubt.
It's Candace Class. We out, y'all. Great session.
Man, good talk, bro.
Yeah.